You are listening to the Roberta Glass True Crime Report, putting the true back in true crime. From New York City, Roberta Glass is now on the record. Hello everybody, I hope you're doing well. August 10th marks the 1-year anniversary of Jeffrey Epstein's death. Also is brave survivor Virginia Giuffre's birthday. Happy birthday, Virginia. And in honor of Virginia Giuffre's birthday, I wanted to look at Virginia Giuffre's May 2016 deposition. On July 30th of this year, over 2,000 pieces of documents were released related to the civil litigation by Virginia Giuffre against Ghislaine Maxwell. Virginia sued Ghislaine Maxwell for defamation after Maxwell released a statement via her publicist Ross Gow denying Giuffre's allegations. Gow's release asserted that Giuffre's sworn allegations, quote, against Ghislaine Maxwell are untrue, unquote, and goes on to characterize Giuffre's claims as, quote, obvious lies, unquote. Virginia Giuffre was subjected to a grueling deposition by Maxwell's attorney Laura Menninger. Just some background on Menninger. She was a financial analyst for Goldman Sachs, after which she graduated Stanford Law School and began her legal career as a trial lawyer working as a deputy state public defender in Colorado. Now that's a big question mark for me. What is the relationship between Maxwell and Laura Menninger? Why did she choose lawyers in Colorado? And Menninger continues to work as one of Maxwell's lawyers in the federal lawsuit against her, joining Christian Everdale and Mark Cohen as her, what would you call it, legal dream team? I don't know. But she's got 3 high-powered lawyers defending her, one of which is Laura Menninger. And what this deposition gives you is a bit of insight into as what could possibly be some of Maxwell's defense should she go to trial. Now, the first thing she tried to do was paint Virginia Giuffre as a liar. The deposition begins with Menninger asking Virginia Giuffre if she understands what it means to be under oath. She goes on to ask Virginia what the word truth means to her. And Virginia answers, to be honest. Menninger follows that up with the question, is there more than one truth? So immediately you get the impression that the power dynamics are being cemented. Prior to this question, Giuffre has already been sworn in by the court reporter. She knows she is giving sworn testimony. Her lawyer, Brad Edwards, is sitting next to her. She knows she's under penalty of perjury. These kind of questions, what does truth mean to you, would not be asked of Alan Dershowitz or Bill Clinton. It is a question asked by the powerful meant to intimidate. And Menninger has the unfortunate job of trying to make a truth teller look like a liar. And the first thing she goes after, which is clearly grasping at straws, is Giuffre's padded resume. Menninger proceeds to bring into evidence the resume Giuffre put together after she fled Epstein and Maxwell and moved to Australia. Her padded resume then was picked apart for each lie. Menninger asks her, what do you mean by plump up your resume? And Virginia answers, well, I didn't feel that I could go to an employer and tell them that I had held one job in the last 10 to 12 years. And before that, I was trafficked for the purpose of sex. And that's definitely not something you want to put down on your resume, which makes you quite highly unemployable. So I did add places in, such as the Indigo Bar and Grill, Clameo Flamenco Bar and Restaurant. So that's Menninger's big win, that Virginia Giuffre joins the rest of the world who has probably padded their resume. And kudos to those listening who haven't padded their resume once or twice in their life. So having failed at exposing Virginia Giuffre for her padded resume and her failed attempt at making her look like a liar, she moves on. And this is an interesting legal strategy, which I think we should see should Maxwell go to trial in her federal lawsuit, which is manager tries to separate Maxwell from Epstein, inferring Maxwell was just his girlfriend. So she asks Giuffre if Maxwell alone ever ordered her to give a massage. That's the code word they use, a massage, to the powerful people she named in her lawsuit. Giuffre answers many times that Maxwell and Epstein were attached at the hip and you cannot separate one from the other. And who are the names that she names? Well, there's millionaire hedge fund manager Glenn Dubin, was the first person Virginia Giuffre says she was trafficked to. Secondly, she says, or perhaps in a different order, was New York politician Steve Kaufman, but that may be interchangeable with Alan Dershowitz. So we're seeing the usual cast of characters. And sometimes this deposition gets very interesting, not just the deposition, but the legal filing saying that Virginia Giuffre originally in her legal filings was off by a year. She remembered the year as 1999. When she reviewed her Mar-a-Lago work record, she realized she was mistaken, that she was really not 15 years old, but she was 16 years old, and the year was 2000 instead of 1999, and she corrected those. They, of course, jumped on that to try to say that she was wrong about everything. But she clearly has such a visual memory, and she remembers everything. So when manager tries to get her and asks her what, I believe it's the room in New Mexico, what Jeffrey Epstein's bedroom looks like, she remembers every detail of the sheets, the wall. She says, well, what color were the walls? And Virginia answers, there wasn't a color. They were brick. I mean, every detail. The sheets were white. And let's not forget that this was settled in her favor. So, the creek with trying to prove that something that happened didn't happen. But it gets more interesting when manager tries to push the angle that Giuffre had free will and she wasn't forced or threatened. She brings up the fact that Giuffre's father drove her to her first meeting with Jeffrey Epstein, so nothing nefarious could have gone on. I think that's the implication. I don't know. It's very odd. Also, the issue of being forced gets picked apart, with manager asking Virginia, quote, okay, do you know what the word force means? Physical force. And Virginia answers, if you mean like held down or a gun put to the head, then no. Manager answers, okay. But force in a word like a way of coercion. There was definitely indirect threats that you knew these people were powerful. They had a lot of contracts. They were very wealthy. They were people you did not want to cross lines with on a bad way. And then manager asks, okay, what threats did you hear Ghislaine Maxwell state to you? Just the reminders of the prominent people that she knows personally. This is the kind of questioning you would never do in front of a jury, because a jury would see this as bullying of the witness. But it's a kind of questioning you can do and get away with in a deposition. Now, it will be very interesting if they go to trial. Now, it's not going to just be Virginia Giuffre's testimony. It's going to be survivor after survivor taking the stand. And again, other people like Juan Alessi, the butler, supported many of Virginia Giuffre's claims, saying he saw her in the house right around the time that she said she was trafficked. So this will be very bad for Maxwell should she go to trial. And I just wanted to pay tribute to her for staying strong during this deposition. It was incredibly tough. And thank you for speaking out. And do a little tribute to Virginia Giuffre, the brave and amazing person on her birthday. Happy birthday, Virginia. I understand she is recovering from a spinal surgery. Get well soon, and I'll see you back next time.